Hey, how's it going? So, on March 16th, Saturday, I went and saw Buckethead live in concert for the second time ever. I saw him at the House of Blues in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, around Disney Springs. I also saw him at the same exact venue last year. So, I drove over there. Weather did not look good at all. It's very dark clouds, so I was worried it was going to rain. So as I get there, I had to take a piss. It was raining in my fucking pants. As I'm looking around, I was trying to see if anyone was wearing a Buckethead shirt or Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket on their head or anything of that nature. And I didn't see too many at first when I got there. The first person I saw with a KFC bucket on their head was the guy taking a piss at the urinal. After I got done doing that, I went in line and I waited and waited. It was about 6:30. Doors open at 7. Around 6:45 is when it started to sprinkle. As the minutes went on, the rain started to get heavier and heavier. It never actually poured, but it did rain a good bit. We ended up getting soaked. That definitely sucked. So they stuck to their word and opened up the doors at 7. So we go into the venue. I knew I was going to go straight to the floor because I don't drink or anything. I just knew I wanted to get a good spot in the general admission floor, have a great view for the show. So I went down there. There weren't too many people on the floor. I pretty much got the fourth row. It was a great view and everything. They also have like VIP seats and they're on the balcony. They're like $40. I never really understood that, like why they'd be more expensive than general admission floor tickets. But I don't know, they're way up there and like I feel like they're almost like nosebleeds. But people bought them and they sold out. Nothing I would ever buy. I'm standing there waiting. It's about 7:30 at this point. Show's supposed to start around 8. Next thing you know, this guy like bumps into me. He's like right like on my shoulder. So I look over at the bastard. He looks at me and then I just look back at the stage. It was really weird. He's like shoulder to shoulder already. So come to find out, he was slowly but surely inching his way to the first row over the next 30 minutes. And the way he would do that is by literally like just getting up on people to the point where they're uncomfortable and moving out of the way. Weird as hell. I saw him take a selfie and it was like the weirdest looking picture ever. So I'm like, oh God. Yeah, Buckethead fans. Something I was really happy about with getting the fourth row is I thought I might have a chance at catching a toy from Buckethead when he throws out the toys in the middle of the show. And I texted a couple people saying like, hopefully that'll happen. I noticed on his amps, he has Eddie Van Halen heads, which I thought was really interesting and cool. Very comparable guitar players. So around 8:10, he came out and he started to play. I was really curious to compare this show to the last show I saw last year. He was wearing like all black and he had the white mask and he had his KFC bucket. But something weird this time, which I've never seen him do before, he had like a ski mask over the white mask and you couldn't really see too much of his mask at all. So it was kind of weird and I was wondering like is he wearing that just for style? Is he wearing that because like something's going on with his eyes? I figured it had to do with like his style. And he starts shredding, crowd's going crazy. Everyone around me was recording every second, going nuts. But like right when the show started, out of nowhere, this woman and this man come up and I'm not gonna lie, they're being extremely obnoxious and like bothering everyone around us. They were just screaming like way too much and like every second and just like bumping into everyone and dancing like crazy and it was like, whoa, what the fuck? Everyone's looking at each other like, what the fuck? It was extremely annoying. Like, I'm all about having a good time. I have no problem with you screaming and everything, but the dude was just screaming like, motherfucker! Like, he was just screaming and cussing and just like being obnoxious to the point where I couldn't even hear the guitar. Like, it was that bad. And like his girl or whatever, she was screaming too, and it was to the point where I was really worried it was gonna ruin the whole entire show because I'm like, if they're gonna act like this the whole time, like it's gonna be the only thing I can pay attention to. I can't even fucking pay attention to the show. But one thing I thought was funny was the guy at one point he was like he wanted to get his girl on his shoulders and like so he kept bending down and then she got on his shoulders and it lasted about like 2 minutes before security came up and was like, you can't do that. This isn't a stadium. Luckily they settled down after a little while. They weren't nearly as obnoxious the rest of the show. Something I did think was hilarious was the guy. He was so into it in the first few songs, and then next thing you know, like a lot of the times throughout the show, he was just sitting there on his phone. I was just like, I don't understand. How can you be that into it in the first few songs and then not even care for like a large portion of the show? The show was great. To compare it to the last show, I thought Buckethead played a lot of material I've never really heard before. I don't know if it's new material or just material that he doesn't normally play. I thought he played a lot of heavy stuff and not too much slow stuff. When he did the nunchucks and everything, he definitely is a lot slower than he used to be compared to like I don't know, you look at a video from Guns N' Roses in 2002, he would do the nunchucks so fast. I was thinking back in the day when he used to be done with the nunchucks, he used to like throw them out to the crowd. I was thinking that night, I was like, God, how dangerous was that? Like, can you imagine getting hit in the face by like his nunchucks? Even his dance moves are a lot slower, but it's understandable. He's had a lot of health problems. He's getting up there in age. Nothing to complain about, just definitely something I noticed. I also noticed he didn't move around the stage too much like he did last year. He honestly just stayed right in front of his amps and he didn't really move to the left side of the stage or the right side of the stage too much. He didn't dance too much. Now here's a picture of me with the blow up doll or blow up mannequin at the show last year that he karate kicked out into the crowd. This is another thing he didn't have this year. I thought it was actually a very different show than last year, which I'm happy about because who wants to see the same show twice? He played great. He's still got it. He's still amazing. Still a guitar god. Still knows how to shred it like the best of them. He also played his most famous songs like "Welcome to Buckethead Land" and "Jordan," "Nottingham Lace," and "Soothsayer," which is my favorite. People went crazy during "Soothsayer," just like how they did last year. Um, Something I thought was hilarious. He didn't play all of Nottingham Lace. He just played like a little bit of it. But there was this like huge Buckethead fan to my right. So I guess that's like his favorite song to Bucketheads, but he didn't even realize he was playing it. So as he's playing it, his buddy like taps him on the shoulder and like, hey, he's playing your song. And next thing you know, I remember out of nowhere, he screamed like a little girl, like so loud. And it made me die laughing because he was like, he's probably like a teenager. His voice cracked. And I thought that shit was hilarious, especially because the obnoxious guy, like, I think it scared the shit out of him. One thing I also want to note, I swear to God, from the second I got there to the second I left, there was someone around me ripping ass the entire night. It smelled like straight up ass. It was terrible. I couldn't believe it. Buckethead did a lot of different wardrobe changes that he didn't do last time. After a few songs, he took the ski mask off, and I got pissed off because I didn't realize it. I'm watching him shred, and I didn't realize he took the mask off, and I was wondering why the crowd went crazy. Look at me pulling a Nottingham lace like the one kid. He put the mask on another time during the show and then took it back off. But also during the song Jordan, he put on another bucket on top of his KFC bucket, and it was a Michael Jordan tribute. It was like a red bucket with the black 23 on it. He only played his white Les Paul. He didn't have any flying V's or anything of that nature. He just played the Les Paul. I'm pretty sure that's what he did last time too. So finally, at one point, he takes off the guitar and he grabs his bag of toys. So he starts throwing out the toys and everything. He gets over like in front of me and starts throwing them. And none of them came close to me or anything. And then he went to the other side of the stage. So I was like, shit, I didn't get anything. Luckily, he came back down again, and I was determined to get one. So as he's throwing them, the obnoxious guy and his girl, he puts her on his shoulders again. I don't think they got anything. Once it got close to me, I was like jumping for them. I wanted to get one so bad. So a couple of them tipped off my fingers, and then there was one that got so close to me, and I almost fucking fell down. I barreled into everyone. Everyone went fucking flying. I think Buckethead saw that I put that much effort into getting one. So he ended up pulling out a toy and throwing it directly in my lap. There was no fight for it or anything. So I was really happy about that. I looked over to my right and I was thrilled. And the obnoxious guy, his girl, and like a bunch of people around them were like arguing and going off. All I heard was like, "You fucking pussy, fuck you," and like, "Fuck me, fuck you, asshole," and like, a little bit of pushing and shoving going on. And I was dying laughing at that. All I was picturing in my head was that they were getting pissed off because they couldn't get a toy, like grown adults getting livid about not getting a little fucking Walmart toy. So here's the toy I got. I don't know if you can see it too good, but it's a Star Wars toy, ages 4 and up, made by Hot Wheels and Disney. Now it's a B-Wing fighter. I'm not a Star Wars fan or anything, but that's what it is. And I just thought it was so cool that I got something, that he actually threw this out to me. I sent a picture of it to my brother. He's a huge Star Wars fan, and he was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me. That's literally my favorite fighter in the whole series." Also, while he was handing out the toys, I noticed someone in the front row must have been a really diehard fan, because they handed him a doll that they made, and it was actually like really good. They handed it to him. As you can see, it has like Buckethead wearing his Jordan jersey and everything. It's really detailed and everything. So he handed it to Buckethead, and Buckethead definitely he approved of it. He like nodded his head and like looked over at his roadie like, "Hey, that's pretty fucking cool." The show went on, and it lasted over 2 hours. At one point, he does his patented, kill switch heavy section of the show. And then he, takes off the guitar, and then he, brings it around the front of the stage where fans in the first row can like play with the kill switch and everything, which is really cool. That never gets old. That's such a great interactive way to interact with the fans and everything. Something I noticed though, there's like a little brown smudge on his guitar. Who knows what that was from? I feel like it was probably that fucking fan who was ripping ass all night. It probably stuck his fingers up his ass and then was hitting the kill switch and accidentally smudged the guitar. I also noticed around this time that the guy that was standing in front of me in line before the show, he was actually in the front row, but to my very left, like at the very corner of the stage. And Buckethead actually handed him his guitar pick, and I'm pretty sure that was like the only guitar pick he threw out or gave out the entire night. I thought that was really cool. He looked like he was thrilled. After over 2 hours, he finally just did his like little wave to the crowd and then walked off stage. It was only about 15 seconds before he came back out for the encore. And he came out and did a few more songs, and that was the end of the show. Once the show was over, the crowd dispersed and everything. And I was about to leave, and then I noticed Buckethead had a little bit of merchandise. And I was like, whoa, that's weird, because I didn't see any merchandise there last year, which I was disappointed about. It was like a tiny little table, and it looked like it had DVDs on it. So turns out, yeah, it was a DVD, and it was $10. And what the lady told me was it's Buckethead playing on Halloween last year, and they recorded it and released it as a DVD. So I went to the ATM, got $10, and picked it up just so I can have it, just so I can have some Buckethead merchandise. So this is it right here. When you're that close, it was extremely loud. My ears were ringing after the show. It wasn't loud to the point where it was like it hurt or anything, but definitely could hear a lot of ringing after the show. I'm gonna continue to see him every time he's close by, especially like with his health over the last few years and everything. And it's such a cheap ticket. It was only $31 with service fees and taxes and everything. I mean, the ticket was actually like $21. I mean, you can't beat that. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, and check out my social medias. And thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one.